The 742nd edition of the MMA Gambling Podcast on the Sports Gambling Podcast Network is brought to you by Underdog Fantasy. Sign up with promo code MMA SGPN to get a 50% deposit bonus of up to $1,000.
Hello, Degenerinos. Welcome to episode 742 of the MMA Gambling Podcast and the Sports Gambling Podcast Network, dedicated to Eileen Fiona Perez, who came through. My girl came through for Gumby and myself last night. My lone dog hit, but she's a pretty good-sized dog, plus 212, I believe, is what we had. 220 is what we had her as, heading into UFC 311. So this goes out to Fiona Perez on the way to the championship, obviously. I am one of your hosts, the Canadian capitalist, Jeff Fox, and no UFC, no problem. We'll probably talk a little UFC off the top here, but they are not running this week. They have gone dark, but that's okay because PFL as my co-host likes to say, is up and running, as are KSW, as are Cage Titans, as is, I shouldn't
LFA
say, as is
got a banger this week.
LFA 200. I think,
yeah,
right?
And we're going to do 2 shows on LFA 200. So we'll hit you with a prelims episode and a main card. That's how good it is.
So we've got you covered this week. The voice you just heard, that's the newly shaven, but he's already got stubble. Daniel Gumby Vreeland, who I said we'll talk a little UFC off top.
It's some underdogs.
He went 9-3 last night. Based on $100 per fight, he made $558. So he hit a plus 260, he hit a plus 220. And he hit a bunch of other bets.
110 on Yuri.
Oh yeah, plus 110 on Yuri.
Because remember, you thought Jamal Hill was a better boxer than Yuri.
I knew someone was going to get knocked out, and that was true. I put Yuri on my my DraftKings lineup, so I hedged my bet a little bit there. But yeah, Gumby is beating me this year. It's early, very early, but Gumby's putting the boots to me in the early season. Positive for me, I hit my lock DeRitter, I hit my dog Perez. And then I pushed on my prop because it was Moicano via knockout, and his fight got changed. So Gumby hit he pushed on his lock because it was Moicano. He lost on Clayton Carpenter, but he fought for our money. And he had
kind of like, what the hell was he doing? He's just like settling into bottom position as a wrestler.
Yeah, no, that's true. Yeah, he looked good more coming out the gate is what I'm thinking, I guess. But yeah, once the fight got going, he didn't look so hot.
Here's a real question. Oh yeah, and then I hit my prop.
Rosh got via knockout.
Yeah, which was obvious. Here's my question for you from that whole night. Because we jokingly dedicated this episode to Aileen Perez, or maybe not jokingly. Maybe you are actually infatuated with her.
Hey, we won on her. She won us money. That's all.
You said you did like the way. What was it? Do you like the way she grinds? You like the way she looks, and you like the way she grinds.
Yes. Technically, I didn't say it. Yes, but I did say that. Yes, it's not what you think, but that's what I said. It's true. I can't deny.
You like the way she looks. You like the way she grinds, and I had to ask this in the Discord yesterday, and it felt kind of icky. Is she good? Is she good?
She might. I was thinking that while I was watching.
I was like, I think she might be good.
For a lot of weight classes, like women's bantamweight, for instance, if you are good at one thing, like very good at one thing, and you stick to the one thing,
good. Like
she's very good at wrestling, and she sticks to wrestling. If you do that, then you can be successful. And that's.
But I don't even think her boxing was bad. Like
no, that's true. On the feet, she looked fine.
She's just good.
She gets eaten up with leg kicks too much, which was an issue. But
she's probably gonna fight somebody like Macy Chiasson next. Do you know? Like she's gonna. Like she's like
trying to think who I would pick there. I might pick her over Macy Chiasson. It'd probably be a dog pick again too, which would be nice.
Yeah, like I think
Chiasson doesn't fight enough, and
it made me feel really bad thinking that. Also, and I know this is a KSW episode. This is not a UFC episode, so we won't go too long.
But UFC 311 was quite remarkable. So we should talk a little bit about it.
How good did Merab look? Like I am
Gummy's pick. Yeah.
Plus 260, and I told you there's no way he comes out like even if he lost, I was like, there's no way he comes out looking like he was plus 260 in that fight. He looked incredible. And also that tells you what his cardio looks like, because who the hell has put a pace on a Dagestani wrestler with the last name Nurmagomedov and tired him out? Who has ever tired one of those dudes out
Yeah.
And the answer is nobody. And that's what Merab is made of. So I don't know what they're going to run with him next. If it's going to be Piotr Jan or it's going to be Sean O'Malley again, or like who
Does it matter really though? Does it really matter at this point?
He's like
shot at beating him.
His
just
cardio,
lost, so.
His cardio is a cheat code. It doesn't seem real. And he was taunting Umar in that fight. His cardio was so good that Umar was dejected, defeated. He was showing it in his body, and like he was mocking him. And that to me is so. I thought he was going to win. I didn't think it would be, the end of the going into the 5th round. It was negative 8-10 on the live line on Merab. I didn't think it would look like that.
But it basically was 2-2 then, but the momentum obviously had swung. So
it looked like Umar was ever going to win a round.
Yeah.
Second, it looked like Umar was never going to win a round ever again. He wasn't competitive anymore.
That camp is not used to losing. They're having a hard time with we're getting lots of rationalizations and broken arms and all this stuff. Like they
not a good look. Yeah, especially when you like rag on other people for having excuses. And then immediately hit the excuse button. Not a good look.
Last night was death of the prospect night. Even though Umar was a little past the prospect point, obviously, because he was going for a title.
Yeah,
but
three different dudes lost their zeros.
Yeah.
So.
He got killed. Talbot got killed. Yeah, Talbot one's very disappointing, obviously, because we were not.
I think that's a good.
Nakamura was very disappointing as well.
I think that's a good loss for Peyton Talbot.
Yeah.
I think he's going to learn a lot from what he dealt with there, because he's always just been able to like do a funky backflip and not be grappling, and now he has to realize like, okay, why don't I just use the fundamentals? Because I actually don't think his fundamentals are bad. Just by the time he was like back to using them in this fight, he was like kind of a little tired and worn down.
I'm no Bible fan, but I know the story of Samson, and apparently Peyton Talbot does not know the story of Samson, because
hopefully that doesn't affect my picks after.
I know it's true.
The
beard's gone. Yeah, I did honestly. I'm like, oh no, he cut his hair. We had already recorded by that point. I'm like, oh no, he cut his hair. I'm thinking, oh, that could be an issue, and it was. That was why he lost. And Nakamura, I don't know. Well, maybe he's just not good.
Maybe just wrestle. Maybe just wrestle, dude.
Maybe
if you're a wrestler, you should wrestle.
Good apparently. Gaffarov had that patch of hair still on his back, which was good to see. And
Gaffarov got beat by Chad and Helliger. I'm not ready to cry.
Really good last night. Okay, then Nakamura's really bad then.
He didn't fight good. He didn't have to defend a takedown in the first 8 minutes.
Yeah.
Like if he did, it would have been a different fight.
Boy, salty. All right. Enough UFC. It was an interesting event, to say the least. All right. Before we get into KSW 102, let me remind you, sign up for our app if you haven't already. Get the SGPN app for easy, instant access to all of our free picks and podcasts. And of course, our article is Gumby hit another first bucket last night. Phoenix Suns. Ryan Dunn hit his first bucket. What did you have him at, Gumby? Plus what?
I think it was 950. 950.
See, he doesn't even remember. He hits these huge picks so often he doesn't even know what the number is anymore. But yeah, amazing. All right. We're gonna have some fun. I'm gonna have some fun saying some names today, even though a lot of these names I've said before, I'm not gonna remember how I said them. I'm sure I said them wrong to begin with. We're talking about KSW 102. Konfrontacja Sukt Walki. Gumby will say it properly now.
Konfrontacja Sukt Walki.
And it's going down in Radom, Poland, January the 25th, which would be this coming Saturday at midnight, though. So basically, right when Friday turns into Saturday, watch your KSW. So you gents, basically Friday night. For most of you people, that's Eastern time. KSW, they stream on their site, right? It's like cheap pay-per-view type stuff, right?
Yeah, I think it's the same as Octagon, if I'm remembering correct.
All right. We got 9 fights. We're going to break down more than half of them in full, 5 in full. And then Gumby, I'm sure we'll have some bonus bets for you. If you want to go, we have listeners and viewers everywhere. Maybe someone is in Radom, Poland. It's at the Radomski Centrum Sportu. Okay, so check it out. What do you think of the card?
Pretty good. Yeah, I always love
in the top.
Yeah, I like a Sebastian Przybysz fight. Paczuski is usually always brings sort of a fun fight too. So yeah, there's it's not one of their loaded up cards, but it's still a good one.
And that was a good way for me to sneak making Gumby say some fighter names, so now I can have a kind of a cheat sheet on how to say some.
I don't think I'm saying Przybysz right. I don't think I've ever said that dude's name right.
Yeah,
there's no vowels in it.
I'm sure I'm not. Yeah, that's a problem. There's Y. It's using Y as a valve, which is kind of bending the rules. No odds yet, correct for this?
Correct.
Okay, it'll drop midweek. KSW you can pretty much get.
Yeah, they're usually a Tuesday. They're usually a Tuesday drop, so you're getting this on Sunday, and I'll give you my best estimations on where the line is probably.
Do our friends at DraftKings? I have KSW as far as our.
They do
there before. I think.
Yeah, they do pretty often. Yeah, so you can keep an eye out for them. They drop a little bit later than the offshores do. I think they usually get their feelers out on the offshores. So.
Yeah, they want to see it once we destroy the lines on the offshores, and they're like, okay, because we do move lines, ladies and gentlemen. We do. So I guarantee that some of our listeners and viewers have moved some lines on regional stuff. Guaranteed, because they can't be getting a huge volume of bets on regional stuff. So more on that soon. Maybe we'll actually dedicate that. Well, that was the UFC. We're going to dedicate an episode to a guy who can move some lines with his bets. All right, we're starting off with a women's flyweight belt, Wiktoria. Here we go. Czyżewska. Yeah. She's from Poland.
Czyżewska, I believe.
Czyżewska, yeah. Adrianna Kreft. That's kind of boring. I probably said it wrong regardless. She's from Poland as well. 3-500 rounds. They are both 125. Kreft is 5-2, 1 knockout, 2 submissions. She has never been finished in a fight. She's 2-2 in KSW. She's lost 2 straight. Used to fight has fought at 130 before, so up half a weight class, I guess you call that. 0-1 in pro boxing. 2 inches of height, 2 inches of reach over. Czyżewska is Chikatoro is her nickname, Gumby, obviously, right? Chikatoro is 4-1 with 4 knockouts. She's been knocked out once. She owes us rounds, damn it. I don't want to slam on this table too much because it will collapse. 2-0 over her last 2. Is not used to fight up at 135, 12 years younger than Kreft. And that's all I got. I'm sure Gumby can fill in.
You're missing a key pice.
This is a rematch. I missed it.
This
they barely
is a rematch from
people.
Both of their first ever amateur fights. I'm pretty sure.
I didn't see that.
I've seen it too, which is silly. Yeah, because it's. I mean, like Kreft won that fight, unanimous decision. You really can't weigh that heavily.
Oh, it's amateur. That's why. Okay.
Their first Ami fight.
Amateur. Yes, first Ami fight in 2020. Okay. Yes.
Yeah. So we're not going to count that. That's first of all 5 years old, and second of all, neither of them had ever fought before. And Kreft won. I actually kind of hope it does matter to the books. I hope somebody who's setting these lines sees it, because maybe that'll make the line a little closer. Because I think Czyżewska is going to wind up being let's say negative 200 in this fight. She's clearly a better striker. Her only loss came to Sukar, who you know from CNN, KSW and stuff like that. And just basically she got out grappled in that fight and eventually sort of tired out in the grappling. This is a fight that will take its place entirely on the feet. Kreft, she got a nice little jab that she throws. I don't hate her footwork, but I don't really love her her posture. She tends to be a little bit stiff, a little bit rigid, and not deep in her stance. So she doesn't really put a lot on a lot of her punches. And sometimes that really hurts her with the judges. I can imagine it will hurt her with the judges at some point in time. And Czyżewska is absolutely the opposite of that. She throws combinations with the intention of hurting you badly. She does really well throwing to the body. I like how she's sort of developed as a prospect. I actually think her prospect loss being to a grappler like Sukar was a good one for her. But I'm in the same token, I don't even have to worry about her seeing whether or not she got better at it for this fight. I think she's going to roll on the feet. I think the combinations will be too much. I wouldn't be surprised if she stopped Kreft. If you could get props on this, Czyżewska KO in a women's flyweight fight, hey, if that can spice up the line a little bit, if this does come in wide, I'm in on that. So yeah, give me Wiktoria here. I think she gets it done.
If the Tapology cappers have their way, it's going to be a wide line. 93% are going for Czyżewska here. So
yeah, so I'm hoping the former fight also just that's probably mostly record based, and when you consider that they both haven't fought too much, I think the books will be cowards in making that line too wide.
Yeah,
at least to open.
You really think the books are watching tape like you are, though, Gumby? Seriously,
no.
They're just basing it off of records and stuff too, right? And then if some sharps fans of ours steam the line, then they'll adjust. But yeah, all right. Speaking of sharps and lines, the DraftKings people are sharks. Not sharks. They're sharps. Playoffs. We're talking about playoffs. You bet we are. Get in on the action at DraftKings Sportsbook, an official sports betting partner of the NFL. Scoring touchdowns is key to winning in the playoffs, and you can score big by betting on them at DraftKings, the number one place to bet touchdowns. Ready to place your first bet? Try betting on something simple like a player to score 6. Go to the DraftKings Sportsbook app and make your pick. Obviously, it's as I told you off top, they got KSW lines, they got UFC lines, they got MMA lines, not just the NFL. And new DraftKings customers can bet $5 to get $200 in bonus bets instantly. Download the DraftKings Sportsbook app and use code SGP. Let's go to SGP for new customers to get $200 in bonus bets instantly when you bet just $5. Only on DraftKings Sportsbook. The crown is yours. Now, Gummy's going to read you the fine print.
Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. In New York, call 877-8-HOPEN-Y or text HOPEN-Y 467-369. In Connecticut, help is available for problem gambling. Call 888-789-7777 or visit ccpg.org. Please play responsibly. On behalf of Boot Hill Casino and Resort in Kansas, 21 and over, age and eligibility varies by jurisdiction. Void in Ontario. Bonus bets expire 168 hours after issuance. For additional terms and responsible gaming resources, see dkng.co/audio.
Thank you, Gumby. Very professional as per usual. All right. We're switching to a male bout up a couple weight classes. We're going up to men's featherweight. Adam Soldaev from Poland. Danu Tărchilă, not from Poland. He is from Moldova. 3 5-minute rounds, 145. And I'll tell you about Tărchilă first. 8-2, 2 knockouts, 3 submissions. He's never been finished in a fight. 3-1 in KSW. He's won 2 straight and 6 of 7. He's 6 years younger than Soldaev, an inch taller, 3 inches of reach on him. Soldaev Chahonkar is his nickname. I have no idea what
I saw that. It looks like
Chonker. Chonker. He's a chonker. 8-2, 5 knockouts, 1 submission. He's never been finished in a fight. 3-1 in KSW. He's won 8 of his last 9. TKO win in his last fight. Used to fight at Bantamweight. 2015 pro MMA debut.
Yeah, Soldaev's coming off that win over. Oh man, it was a UFC veteran, was it not? Mark.
I know we talked about him because I'm thinking, was he in the UFC? I recognize his name.
Marcin
Damian Stasiak.
Oh, Damian Stasiak. Yeah. So he's coming off that win over Stasiak. That should install him as a favorite immediately. My guess is like -225, and I'm actually going to go dog here. I like Tărchilă here. I think for me, first of all, I really like his jiu-jitsu game. I don't know that he'll get to it, to be completely honest with you, because Soldaev is the reason I liked him against Stasiak is I was like, he's just gonna like grind him up against the cage and force him to box with him, and then we'll ultimately win that because Stasiak doesn't win those kind of fights. And so like styles make fights, and that's why I picked him in that one. But like, here's the problem here is that if Soldaev does that game plan here against Tărchilă, he's gonna be up for some of those like wild grappling exchanges. So I think he's gonna want to stay away from that. But even if this does wind up being a stalemate in the wrestling department, or Soldaev can sort of dictate where he wants this fight to take place, I think Tărchilă is gonna be the smarter striker. I don't know the more impactful striker necessarily. Like Soldaev throws a bigger bomb, but it's sort of predictable. And Tărchilă is just like a little bit more. I mean, like it looks like his combinations and the way that he moves around is just like a little bit harder to predict and a little bit more of like an organic striker rather than a rote one. And for that reason, I kind of like Tărchilă here. I think if it does hit the ground, I think his jiu-jitsu plays up. And if it doesn't hit the ground, I think he'll just be crafty enough to poke around. So if Soldaev does come in here -225, like I kind of predict, that means you're going to get Tărchilă at, probably 2-1 money here, plus 200. I think he's a good value there.
Well, 16% of the people agree with you, so maybe you'll get a good line here as Gumby's hoping. So yeah. Sorry, what number did you predict? I
said plus 200. I said plus 200. Okay. So like
we're gonna let's get bigger than that. Let's go bigger.
I would hope for bigger, but I don't know. I don't know that it'll be much bigger than that.
No. All right.
Soldaev lost the fight before he knocked out. The guy who I've already forgot his name. Stasiak, yeah. So he lost the fight before that. I don't think he's going to come in here as like a 300, 400 favorite.
All right, we're going to go to some middleweights now as I'm yawning. Sorry. Radosław Paczuski versus Kleber. Silva, Poland versus Brazil. 3 5-minute rounds as per usual. Silva is Orgulho, which means pride. He's 22-13 with 1 no contest, 15 knockouts, 3 submissions. He's been knocked out 5 times, submitted once. 2-2 in KSW. He has lost 2 straight. He's got 2-3 over his last 5. Both his past 2 losses have come via TKO. Regional champ, 1-0 in Bellator. Used to fight at light heavyweight and heavyweight. 2008 pro MMA debut. Paczuski is Radic. He's 7-2 with 6 knockouts. He's been knocked out once. 4-2 in KSW. He's won 2 straight. Before that, he lost 2 straight. His past 2 wins have come via TKO. So a guy who's knocked out 2 straight, a guy who's been knocked out in 2 straight. Used to fight at 197, obviously. That's a weight class. 6-0 in kickboxing and champion there. 6 years younger than Silva, 2 inches taller, 2 inches of reach. So on paper, I'd be going with Paczuski, but
yeah, I think he's and I think you're right on that. I think he's going to be a big favorite. We'll say like -300, and I like him in this fight. I actually think this is an absolute gift wrap matchup in terms of stylistic fights, because if you watch Paczuski's last fight, he knocked out Zerhoni, which is a guy who we talked about a couple of weeks ago on here. And in that fight, Zerhoni just walks him down the whole time. His head is way up in the air. It looks like he should just be getting absolutely pieced up. And he moves just enough and hits Zerhoni with some brutal counters and that winds up knocking him out. And the reason I love that is because if you watch Kleber Souza fight, all Kleber Souza does is like slowly plod forward and try to get like as close to you as possible, throws way less technical strikes than what Paczuski is used to seeing even. And really, Silva's whole goal is to get you in a clinch so that he can pull you into a grappling exchange. Sometimes it's not even shooting a takedown. Sometimes he will just fall back and try to like leg lock you off of, the clinch. And like, I think, first of all, Paczuski's too smart for that. And also, I don't know that he'll ever get to touch Paczuski, because if he walks forward all slow like that, Paczuski backs up extremely well. And you know me, I'm a guy who hates a guy who just like consistently backs up. But he does really well, and he times his counters really smartly, despite the fact that his head position is somewhere where I don't typically like it. He stays safe for the most part. So I think against the guy who I don't particularly think of as much of a striker in Kleber Silva, I think Paczuski is just going to spark him one of these times on the way in. So give me Radosław, Paczuski, probably a nice parlay piece if he's chilling around 3-1.
All right. Hopefully he's not chilling any higher than that. All right, we're to our co-main event. Already. Patryk Kaczmarczyk. Yeah, sure. He's from Poland. Kaczmarczyk. Ahmed Vila, not from Poland. He is from Bosnia and Herzegovina. Yeah, I'm adding extra vowels in there. All right. Featherweight, 3 5-minute rounds. Let's just stop worrying about the names and let's just break down the fight, shall we? Once I get to the right tab here. Tell you about Vila first. He's 12-5-1 with 1 no contest, 7 submissions. He's been knocked out twice, submitted once, 1-1 in KSW. He's 5-1 over his last 6, but he did lose his last fight. 2012 pro MMA debut, 2 inches taller than Kaczmarczyk. Kaczmarczyk is the Prince of Radom. So he is fighting at home because this is in Radom.
Yeah.
11-3, 3 knockouts, 2 submissions. He's been knocked out twice, 5-3 in KSW. He's won 3 of 4 and 4 of 6. Did lose via TKO, though, in his last fight. Regional champ, 2 years younger than Vila, 3 inches of reach on him.
Yeah, so I think he's going to come in here as a favorite. It seems like they're setting him up with sort of a favorable matchup, being the king of Radom in Radom. And he's, so I'm going to say like -225. And I'm going to pick him in this one. I think, Vila, if you watch him, he's got pretty good takedown defense, particularly held up well against Jacob Danal over in Octagon. So this is an Octagon veteran, which is why I'm pretty familiar with Vila. Yeah. Is like, it held up well in that fight enough for him to wind up beating Danal. But like, is Danal as good of a wrestler as Kaczmarczyk? I don't think so. And so, first of all, I think you got a guy whose takedown defense has held up, but like probably won't in this fight. And then even if it does hold up, like Vila he's just like a little bit stiff in his striking for me, particularly defensively striking. Like when somebody comes forward and starts to put a combination together on him, it looks like his body is like not quite sure which way it wants to move out of the way, because when that second shot is coming, he's still moving out of the way of the first one. And like that for me is a big problem against Kaczmarczyk, because Kaczmarczyk throws really nice combinations. I really like the way, especially when he's moving forward, he puts together a combination. He loves to halfway through it slip in an uppercut but not finish with it, which is kind of fun. So like Patryk Kaczmarczyk, just being loose, being faster, being quicker on the feet. And then also, I think just having a wrestling advantage. Like it seems like pretty much every path to victory is here for him. Maybe Vila's takedown defense holds up, but even if it does, I think he gets pieced up on the feet. So give me Kaczmarczyk. Again, maybe this is the perfect parlay partner for Paczuski. You put these two together here, make something happen.
All right. Let's make it happen. Let's make things happen over at Underdog Fantasy, shall we? Underdog Pick'em has one of the biggest menus for all sports. Underdog is always making it easier to win with profit boosts and gimme pick'ems. NFL, college football, one more game of that for now. College basketball, MMA, NBA, NASCAR, and more. And you can now use special boosts on all flex entries. Gumby, do you have a play for the people?
Sure. Yeah. So football's winding down, and by the time you get this, all of the football games for today will be done. So we might as well head on over to Monday's NBA action. The Celtics are playing the Warriors, and if you know anything about things I like about the Celtics, it's a televised game, so you know that means it's an Al Horford game. Give me a higher than on Al Horford's 3-pointers.
About time we have an Al Horford play. It's been a while. All right, take that for what it's worth, and more importantly, take our promo code MMASGPN. And that way you get to claim a special pick and first time deposit offer up to $1,000 in bonus cash. That's underdogfantasy.com, promo code MMASGPN. And we are off to our main event here. It's for the KSW vacant bantamweight championship. Gumby, why is it vacant?
The champ just left.
He can't just left.
So he gone. There was like a really nice post on KSW's Instagram about Jakob Wittklaas, who you might remember from all 5 of his fights with Sebastian Przybysz.
Yes.
Yeah, he went 3-1-1 against Przybysz. And then I think now he just realizes like KSW doesn't really have much for him. I almost wonder if he got like a big offer from, PFL's about to announce the regular season. Mm-hmm. They've got all the weight classes again, so possibly there. I think some people are being tempted by this crazy GFL money.
Don't do it.
I don't think it's
guaranteed
real
money. Don't do it.
And then the other thing is hey, who knows? Like I think the UFC is coming to Europe in March. They're coming to England, so like I don't know. Maybe Wittklaas figured out he could maybe pick up a win in January or February or something and sneak onto that card.
Okay, cool. So Gumby does know why it's vacant. There you go. Gumby knows all. All right. So it's for the vacant bantamweight championship. The man mentioned Sebastian Przybysz. We'll say him Przybysz versus Bruno Azevedo. So Poland versus Brazil again. This is for the strap at 135, 5-minute rounds. I'll tell you about Azevedo first. He is macaco, which is a monkey, 21-4. There's probably how do you say it, Gumby? Macaco.
That beats me.
21-4, 2 knockouts, 15 submissions. He's been knocked out once, submitted once. 1-0 KSW. He's won 2 straight in 506. All of those 5 wins, the past 5 wins have come via submission. He's 1-0 in 1 championship, the biggest promotion in the world while it still exists. Used to fight at 125 and 145. 2008 pro MMA debut. 0-1 as a pro grappler. Przybysz Stabic, you can call him. 12-4-1, 5 knockouts, 4 submissions. He's been submitted once, so he's a very durable guy. 9-3-1 in KSW, the former champion, trying to get his belt back. 2-2-1 over his last 5. Got submitted in his last fight. 3 years younger than Azevedo, 4 inches taller, an inch of reach.
I'm going to go with Przybysz. I think this one's going to be a pickup, to be honest with you.
Okay.
Przybysz, having failed for the title a couple of times against Wittklaas, I think lowers his stock. Azevedo has looked really good since coming to the UFC. But, like, for me in this one, like, if you watch Azevedo fight, he is a guy who has some really slick ground game. If you watch a lot of his stuff, using heel hooks to get back up or to change the position. He's particularly good at putting butterfly hooks in and using them to exploit positions and things like that. But I think the difference maker for me is Przybysz is just like, he's so solid on top. And I know, like, in those Wittklaas fights, we found ourselves being like, which one of these guys is going to be the better grappler each time? And it was Wittklaas. And, like, I don't think that takes away from Przybysz. I think he is good enough on top and a good enough scrambler and good enough in his efforts to keep things there that he should be able to beat him. And I also think, he's probably a little quicker on the feet too. He's probably a little smarter, but it would shock me if this fight didn't take place, at least in large part, on the ground. And if it does, I think we're going to see Przybysz in all of the advantageous positions, which means you're going to be like, looking at pick 'em odds on Azevedo, hoping he subs somebody off of his back, which, like, don't get me wrong, it's got lots of skills, but I'm just not going anywhere near pick 'em odds on a guy who's, path to victory is subbing somebody off his back.
Yeah, that's a rough path to victory for sure. All right, let's give you a recap, and then Gumby probably has some bonus round picks, I'm guessing. Przybysz, hopefully as they pick him, or maybe a dog. Kaczmarczyk, Paczuski, oh boy, Tărchilă, and Czyżewska. Oh boy, all Polish people. Thanks, Gumby. All right, lightning round.
No, I gave you a Moldovan in there over a Polish guy.
Yeah. Zap Bam Boom Pow, Gumby.
All right, so I got
lightning round picks.
I got 3 lightning round picks for you. I couldn't settle on 2, so I went with 3. So,
perfect.
Man, I'm gonna slaughter some of these too because they're like they're the ones I haven't heard a little bit too. So Garry is a guy who is a heavyweight fighting on the prelims. He's coming off of a loss, but against a really good opponent. I think I personally would install him as like a negative 400 favorite because I think the guy he's fighting, we've seen holes, particularly when he was an Ami, and being taken down repeatedly and getting beat up on top. And he hasn't fought anybody as a pro, and I think that's sort of alarming too. So Garry, maybe that'll keep the lines close enough for me. It shouldn't, but it might. Soldaev is another fighter I like. I mostly just like him because I'm sitting here fading Skibitsky because I always have had problems with that Daniel Skibitsky guy. So just take Soldaev because he's fighting him. And Kaczmarczyk is a guy, and I'm going to spell that for you because I'm pretty sure I said it wrong. Kacprzak. I like him in this fight. He's fighting they imported a Brazilian for him to fight. And sometimes KSW does that to hype up some of their homegrown talent. But I think he's got a lot of advantages in this fight. I think that line will probably be the closest, or deserves to be the closest of the 3, but I like him too. So that's Garry, Soldaev, and Kaczmarczyk.
All right. You are all set now for KSW, which is going down this Saturday or Friday night, probably for most of you degens. All right. We'll be back tomorrow. It might be a holiday for you Americans. It's not for Canadians, sadly. It may be a holiday for you, but we're still going to bring you the content. In the meantime, we'll be in the Discord, sportsgamblingpodcast.com/Discord. Of course, YouTube, please make sure you subscribe to us there and leave comments at MMA Gambling Podcast. SGPN MMA on Twitter. He's at Gumby Vreeland. I'm at Jeff Fox Writer there and on Instagram. I have an Instagram. Check it. Not Instagram. I do. Yes.
Substack.
Which would be Jeff Fox Writer. But yes, Substack. moneymma.substack.com. Check that out. Gummy's got Top Turtle MMA podcast. Always good interviews on there. What do we have coming up this coming week?
We've got an LFA dedicated episode. We are talking to Cheyenne Bowers, who is going to be unifying the flyweight title on that KSW card. And Joey Hart, who was on Contender Series this past year, had a very tight fight that I had actually thought he won, and they didn't give it to him. But he is back on the horse, looking for a win at LFA 200.
Hey, I just realized your episode didn't come through last week.
Yeah, we're having.
You realize that too?
For our dedicated fans, it is still uploaded through SoundCloud and a couple of other outlets, but we are having some issues with Apple Podcasts and a couple other different servers. So stay tuned.
Don't you worry.
We have a ticket in, as they say.
All right. I just realized I didn't hear the Goosey interview, so I'll make sure to track that down. It's worth it. I definitely track down Top Turtle MMA, and of course we're at sportsgamblingpodcast.com, sportsgamblingpodcast.com/store, sportsgamblingpodcast.com/Patreon. Now you're all set. As I said, we'll be back tomorrow. Tomorrow is PFL Tour Day, so it shall be fun. Until then, Macacao, that will be me. And what's your name going to be? Chikatoro of Vreeland. He'll be with me as well, and we'll talk to you tomorrow. Bye.